Before we get into the topics I want to cover in this video, I thought I'd address this. Jacob. Dude. I don't know. I never shilled. Okay, so I should explain. There is a link to an Amazon wishlist at the bottom of my video description, and I've never shilled it because I didn't want to make it or make people think that they should buy me things. I did it because I felt that a PO box is too expensive, so I naturally filled it up with very Cthulhu-inspired things and a trumpet to annoy my neighbour. Seriously, I need to annoy them. And Jacob, with a note that said F, sent me a Buzz Lightyear after I mentioned that mine was destroyed. My nephew thoroughly enjoys playing with him, by the way. Thank you. I never put Buzz on the wish list though, so I don't entirely know how you managed to send him. If you do, by the way, want to, it is linked below, but don't think you should. Don't feel compelled. Don't think you have to. But thank you very much, Jacob. That was very kind of you. He does look really cool. And my nephew really does love playing with him. Now, an update to a story I want to address. There was a couple I did a video on not so long ago. I will link it below for the full context of the story. Because of a booze-fueled argument, Luke Morgan, aged 26, and Emma Cole, aged 22, were sentenced to 8 years and 5 years for causing or allowing the death of their newborn son. 13 years total. Each would seem, to me, like it is edging in the direction of what could be argued to be an accurate sentence. Instead, though, 8 years for Luke, 5 years for Emma. Personally, this is a tragic tale. It is known the baby suffered some truly heinous abuse, which include fractured ribs and bite marks all over their forearm. Why do you think that they did this to their kid, by the way? Oh, that's right, because apparently Mr. Morgan really wanted to have sex, because Emma Cole's vagina was just that damn good after having a child. He needed more of it, because fellatio and self-love were totally out of the question. Grumble, I hope the pair of you rot in the 8 years and 5 years you're in prison. I'm not entirely sure if both of you faced the same charges or not. If you did though, this is just a great example of a sentencing gap. Enjoy prison, you deserve it. Now on to the main story I want to cover today. For this we need to know a definition. The definition is catfishing. This is where you lure someone into either a relationship or to committing an act by means of using a completely fictitious person as a persona to manipulate another, essentially pretending to be someone else to make someone do something for your own personal gain. I should have just said that to begin with, really, shouldn't I? For this story, we need to insert a number of people. The first would be Cynthia Hoffman. In this story, she is the victim. Next, Denali Bremer, her best friend. We also need to insert a few accomplices and someone else. So here we have Caden McIntosh and Caleb Leland. The final person in this story that we need is Darren Shillmiller. Darren catfished Denali, where he would claim via some Snapchat videos and other interactions that he was a tycoon, and he made an offer that she apparently couldn't refuse. I should now state, I personally, having grown up while very, very poor, can never truly consider a possibility where I would end the life of my closest friend for money. And that is what has happened in this story. Perhaps I'm naive, perhaps I haven't seen the money, maybe that's the motivating factor, I tend to doubt that. Denali currently stands trial accused of plotting the ending of Cynthia Hoffman earlier this month. Police obtained videos from Snapchat and were able to trace this to Denali and to Darren. The prosecutors believe this should serve as a severe warning to the parents, with FBI agent Jeremy Pettersson saying, "If you are listening to my voice, not in Alaska but somewhere else, and you're sitting in your mum's basement, and you're planning to do some type of crime, influence, plan or conduct a crime in Alaska, and think you are safe because you're that far away, you are not." With another being quoted as saying, "For all the good the internet can do, it can be a dark place, and parents would be wise to monitor the activity of their children online." I'm sure many people want to debate whether or not children should be restricted on the internet. I'm sure that is down to the parents' personal choice. There are options available to them should they decide to restrict access. That quote coming from Brian Schroeder, the DA for Alaska. Now, Miss Bremer, or Denali, has confessed to killing Miss Hoffman, and the full story would include convincing Cynthia Hoffman to go out camping with her because they were best friends. They were very best friends. and while going out on this hiking trip in a pickup truck, the three suspects, Caden, Caleb and Denali, bound Cynthia up, put one through the back of her head and pushed her body into the Eklutna River, which is 30 miles north of the town they lived in. Caden is the one accused of firing the shot. Caleb, along with a juvenile male and female, have also been charged, but with unknown charges as of yet because of their age. Caleb, I'm not sure why, actually. Now, the catfishing took place from Indiana, where he's also been alleged to have directed Denali to abuse sexually Cynthia before the murder, but thankfully there was no evidence that this in fact happened. Of course, not thankfully, at the same time, they still committed a murder under the pretense of wanting to get money. One of the most striking things about this is the age of each of the individuals involved. Darren is in his 20s. Quite frankly, he can enjoy the rest of his life in prison. Denali is 18 years old, and her life is effectively over. Caden is 16 years old, the one who fired the shot, accused anyway. I'm almost certain forensics can confirm it should they have access to the weapon that fired the shot. And Caleb is 19, and let's not forget the two other juvenile. These people are very young, and they're going to spend an incredibly long time behind bars for what they did, because they looked for an easy way out, to get money, to make their life easier. Quite frankly, Caleb, Darren, Denali should be looking at 20 to 25 at least. And Caden, it's a tricky one because he's 16. In this country, he'd probably still be tried as an adult and still look at 10 to 15. But I'm sure many of you can decide for yourself what you believe the correct sentence should be for these people. Should this be used as a warning sign for parents with children having access to social media and the internet? Yes. Does this potentially lead to many people wanting the government to intervene, so as to restrict the internet for children regardless? No. This should definitely be down to the parent. It is truly sad that Cynthia Hoffman has lost her life because her friends were selfish. Terrible friends, I might add. Obviously. They took advantage of somebody who was noted as having learning difficulties, which meant it's possible she could be easily led by other people. But at the same time, Denali Brahma was her friend, and she trusted her. That is disgusting. It is why Denali is looking and should be looking at the longest sentence, along with Darren, and maybe Caden too, if proven that he fired the shot. I know I'm not in my Judge Moist outfit, even though I should be for this, but I'm trying out the whole animating more. And I wanted to get the two grimmest topics I could think of out of the way this week, because I knew this would get demonetized. Sorry, I know it's going to be, there's no way it won't be. So please do tell me what you think the sentence should be for each of those involved. The article is linked below. I personally, and I'm going to outright say it now, Denali Brahma should look at life, with the possibility of parole in 25 to 30 years. Caden, 15 to 20 years, unless proven to have been the one that fired the shot, in which case, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Depending on Caleb's involvement, he should be looking at a lengthy sentence. And to the catfisher Darren, I think you should be made to work to earn the money. That was apparently what Cynthia Hoffman was worth. And then you give that to the family. Whether that be hard labour, whether that be someone's sex toy, I don't know. But I think a rather long time suffering would do well for you. And by suffering, I don't mean torture. I'm not into that. I'm sure many in the comments will say, yes, please do. Not me. Hard labour without the possibility of parole. How's that? I'm being kind when I really shouldn't. Anyway, thank you all very much for joining. I hope this wasn't too grim. I know some of these topics can be quite nasty. I hope you all have a lovely Monday, and thank you all for listening.